Whoa. Whoa. She's so gracious. I knew that was a setup. I didn't think it was so soon. Do we see the power of honest communication? Honesty heals. Honesty is the best method. Honesty is the only way to deepening our relationships. Subtext again. This is another confrontation and a forced confrontation for Violet to recognize how inadequate her own understanding of human emotions are. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated psychotherapist, and my mission is to provide education-based entertainment through a digestible form of anime and psychology. In episode 4, I'll break down the complexities of emotional expression, the struggle of self-worth and self-definition, and the power of honest communications, and why honesty helps us heal. I have cried in pretty much every episode so far.
Last time on Dragon Ball Z.
So will that continue today? Let's tune in. Oh, what's the request? Kazali? Oh, what a coincidence. President isn't invited? Wow. She is the village's pride. In Korean, we call it 가문의 영광, the grace and pride of a family. We need that friends, but we all need that friends to sort of check our realities and help us balance it out.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
What? Oh, whoa. We see Violet in... Whoa. We see that in the beginning intro in the scene. It's immediately colorful. Violet is already standing on a highlands of grass or tall lands. And there's visuals of colors of sky, the blueness, the greenness of the grasses, the colorful of her auto memory doll uniform she's already wearing with her emerald in the middle. The transitory object of the last remaining item from Major Gilbert or Yo Gil. But do you notice how already there is a stark contrast between how we're starting immediately with colorfulness of the opening scene? I think that's another symbolism of how Violet has already begun her emotional development process and her journey of reconnecting with herself, her emotions, and therefore with the people and the world around her. Amazing. And we continue to see Erica's seemingly aloofness and similar emotional disconnectedness as Violet, as we already talked about in last episode. Impeccable. Oh, please. Violet has the impeccable typing skills. We continue to hear Violet's that monotone, I'm a robot, ChatGPT type voice. Oh, her voice actually changed a little bit. Oh, she's comforting. Violet's comforting Iris that it's okay. You do have something going on, and if not, that's okay. Wow, Violet is already learning to soothe her companions. Another huge progress. Oh, this is gonna be an emotional episode. I can already tell. Oh boy.
そのあんたは無事
Oh
です
boy.
責任はないかもしれないけど
See, Violet doesn't get it.
自らの責任と認め相手に許しを請う行為です
Oh, Violet.
この時も私には 理解できなかった
So even in this quick scene, and of course with this heartwarming music, foreshadowing, I think the anticipatory or soon connecting relationship and closing relationship between Violet and Iris. But did you guys notice how Violet is like, why are you apologizing? You did nothing wrong. You didn't break my arms. You're not responsible. It was the enemies from the war. And Iris is like, yeah, duh, I didn't chop off your arms, but... And then Violet proceeded to enter her ChatGPT mode and started to give her the literal definition of what apology means. And of course, Iris knows that, and we know that. But that's another symptom of Violet's ongoing struggle with the subtext, the underlying intention, and the hidden meaning behind languages that we use. Because in the last episode, I talked about 70% of our communication is nonverbal. It's our tonations, inflections of our soothing voice, the sudden exaggerations and different body language, the mannerism, facial expressions, and so on. Violet has mastered verbal communication, which is merely only the 30%. And that's why Violet is not understanding why Iris said, you don't have to say sorry, it's not your fault. But of course, Iris is sympathizing with Violet's injuries. And I think Iris feels bad internally and maybe feels a little bit guilty that she didn't give Violet the proper chance in the beginning when they first met. And because remember, Iris immediately, not attack, but got agitated and mad at Violet whenever she said, I think I could properly perform the duties well. And she's like, what do you mean? These are not just simple duties. It's not that easy. So I think Violet or Iris even looking away in that scene in the train, looking out the window, we saw some blushing of Iris. I'm sure it's not blushing. I think it's more of an embarrassment and maybe she feeling bad about her prejudgments. I'm very excited to see how their relationship evolves and how emotional can this episode get. Oh wow, kind of looks like Vietnam. Beautiful.
やっぱりライデンと比べると蒸し暑い
Oh, that humidity in the summer though.
問題ありません寒暖差には慣れています
I am accustomed like a robot. Oh. Oof. It's a rough way to start the day.
よく帰ってきたな。
Aw, her family.
お母さんおじさんおばさんも
お前その腕
一体どうしたんだ。
ああちょっと階段しに行く
Very caring parents. That's from her fall earlier in the staircase.
大変だな。花形自動式人形さんも。
Being a star.
花形
もうお父さん
Oh, did Iris
もうそ
misrepresent her struggle to her family, or is it because Iris is the only one that made it from the village? So by default, she's a star. What do you guys think? Which one is it?
どこでも駆けつけます
She's smiling. Oh, her facial expression. Oh, I got goosebumps.
バイオレットエバーガーデンです
Whoa. Whoa.
人形
She's so gracious. She smiled, her facial expression, her mannerism.
ちょっと
Wow.
私もドアルの衣装着てるんだけど
ああ似合っているよアイリス。立派な。
Wow, that was amazing.
何よそれ
Whoa.
たくあねサラ・フローレントさんって知ってる
Did you know?
亡くなったひいおばあちゃんの名前よ。代筆を
Wow.
頼めば会えると思って。
Yo.
書かれております
False commission.
匿名及び虚偽の依頼は
Yo, Violet entering her savagery mode again. Yo, she just
それでは
leaves.
今ここでご依頼を受け付けます正しいお名前で依頼書にご記入ください
I could be wrong. I think that false commission and Iris's mom using false alias to lure Iris back to village so she can see her. I'm sure there's a deeper meaning. And I know this episode from reading the summary and descriptions of the episode, it's like family reunion. I'm sure there's some sort of a conflict with family members as well. But I think that's do you see how agitated and I guess flustered or unexpected Iris saw? She said, "Are you kidding me?" Thinking back to the beginning of the episode, Iris was so psyched and so excited that she finally has a commission from all the way in a different village that she later found out was her hometown. So she came here with expectation, and this is the importance of expectation management. We need to manage our expectations, but of course, we cannot expect everything there's to come from the unknowability of life. So it's not Iris's fault. Instead, of course, I think it's Iris's mother's fault for using a lie. Remember my frustrations and low-key anger and saltiness at Hudgens in the beginning for using a white lie that didn't give Violet the proper emotional closeness, and that's why we continue to see Violet struggle with her ongoing ambiguous emotional loss. She can't properly process her emotions. She cannot properly heal from her grief and grieving process because of that ambiguous loss. Because Violet still does not know that Major Gilbert is dead. Like, he's a corpse. We know that. I've speculated since the get-go. And of course, Hudgens made that official in the previous episode. So I think even Iris's frustrations and low-key agitations and anger at the mother and that little quick back and forth, I think it's a foreshadowing of what's to come in this episode. And there might be an even greater conflict between her and her mother. And whether you're Asians or not, every family members can relate and resonate deeply with family drama and family conflict. And families almost always mean well. But there is a difference between intention and impact. And I think this is we get to see through this episode how that family conflict may unfold and what they're going to walk away from it. Hopefully it's a happy ending, but we shall see.
それでどのような招待状を書けばよろしいのでしょうか
アイリスの誕生日パーティーの招
Oh,
待状よ
birthday party.
私あなた
Aww.
あさって誕生日でしょ
Did they lure her in for a birthday party?
今年はたくさん人を呼んで盛大にやるんですって
Aww, that's so sweet. Yep, everyone's like, whoa, it's so pretty.
ごめんなさい
ご心配には
Aw,
及び
kids
ま
are
せん
so innocent. Carefree, innocence, no ill intention.
なんだか男の人が多くない
まああなたも
Oh,
年
what is
頃だ
this?
し
だから
What is this music?
そろそろ結婚してもいいんじゃない
どういう意味よ
あなたは一人娘なんだもの
Is this
こっちに
a setup for arranged marriage?
ドルはやめてこっちで私たち
What?
そのために呼び戻したの嘘までついて
あなただって
Yo. I knew there was gonna be a conflict and family drama. I didn't know
パーティーはやるから
this immediate.
宛名書きよろしくね
So the birthday party is a trap and a setup for arranged marriage. Wow. Does she recognize that someone from the list?
この人には出さないで
Oh.
乗っているのにですか
そう
What's the backstory?
招待する人を選定したのは
They're the service seekers.
リストから削除する権限はないと思われま
Oh,
す
good point.
あなたは私の代わりでしょわかった
True. What do you guys think? Is that fair that technically, lie or why lie, deceptions or not, technically speaking, The service seekers who requested the auto memory dull service, in this case Iris, and Violet as a stand-in because of Iris's injury from falling the staircase in the beginning of the episode. The family is technically, or the mother is technically the service seeker, aka they're the ones that's paying for their services, and they requested specifically write an invitation to this birthday party disguised for arranged marriage or this attempt at matchmaking. They had a specific request with conditions in place. Write a letter to every single person on the list. But Iris is like, no, get rid of that name. We don't know what the context or the circumstances are just yet. But whose sides are you on? Do you think Violet was right in the sense that, well, your mother is a service seeker and you can't just get rid of the name. You're going against the conditions with the services that your mother paid for. Or are you on Iris's side, where Iris is technically the one that was requested services of, and Violet is just a stand-in because of the arm injury? Whose sides are you guys on? Do you think Violet was more accurate and right? Or do you think Iris also has a solid point? Because that name might represent some sort of trauma, or as at least we know it's definitely a trigger for Iris. That's why we saw that letter and that name being zoomed in even before the back and forth between Violet and Iris. Comment your thoughts below. Are you on Violet's side or Iris's side? Because we know that Violet is emotionally disconnected, but she's very factual and truthful.
さあ帰って夕飯にしよう。
大したもてなしでなくても私は問題ありません。
Because she's a robot.
それに根拠は判然としないのですが、こ
Oh,
の景色が大したもてなしという言葉にふさ
wow.
わしい気がし
That
ます。
does look like Vietnam. Beautiful. Wow. It's a beautiful landscape. Again, I might be reading too much into this with my hyperactive brain because of the caffeine I'm drinking. You know how Violet has been looking for longing of familiarity, which is a symbolic interpretations I offered in the last episode? Because think about it. Violet was raised as an orphan, gifted to Gilbert from her brother as a weapon, as a tool, not as a human being. So in her entire life, she has been conditioned and only acclimated to war, violence, and destruction. That is what war is, full stop. But in this episode, not for the first time, since in the last episode with Lucella, when they're on the bell tower looking at the beautiful sunrise and sunset, the golden hour, with the beautiful reunifications and reconciliation between Lucella and her brother, which is what allowed Violet to graduate from the academy because of the letter that she wrote on behalf of Lucella and Lucella's advocacy of Violet to the teacher. So that was the first beautiful scene that we, beautiful, but serene, peaceful, tranquility that I think Violet probably ever experienced in her life. First, or one of the first, I'm guessing. But in this case, she also said, hey, I'm a ChatGPT. I don't need hospitality or too many resources. I'm very self-sufficient because I'm a tool. I was raised as a weapon. But this beautiful landscape and scenery already to me feels like a wonderful hospitality. And I think that might be one of the most profound and impactful serenity and tranquility and peaceful, non-violent state that Violet is experiencing since the start of this episode and the start of this show. So I think that also poses a very significant meaning. And I think, again, I could be wrong, but I think symbolizes another foreshadowing and prospect or possibilities of Violet's evolutions and growth and her reconnection with herself, her emotions, her feelings, and therefore everyone else around her. Because remember, guys, no one is born disconnected. No one is born aloof. No one is born lonely and alone. All those things come because of life, trauma, circumstances. But every one of us, when we're first born, we are born connected. And this is one thing that I often tell my clients. I don't know if you guys can relate, but I feel called to share this here. I have a lot of my clients, a lot of male and female, of course, but more often than not, it's male clients because of false machoism, stigma, and so on. They are very good at providing for other people. They're very good at showing love and showing up for other people. They're good at saying yes to other people's needs, but they often say no and do not know how to say yes to their own needs. And with these clients, this is something I usually say. It's a very symbolic thing I share, and I hope you guys can resonate. I often ask them, and it's usually not a trick question, but it's a very deeper question than what it seems on the surface. I say, hey, what's the first person that you're born with? And pay attention to the verbiage and terminology I'm using, because everything in a therapy session should be purposeful and nothing should be wasted or intentionless. So I ask, who is the first person you're born with? And clients usually say, oh, my mother or my dad or my OBGYN doctor. I was like, no. I'm not asking who's the first person you see or who's the first person you're born to. Because if it's born to, then yes, it is your mother or whoever caregivers that are in place in the surgery room. I'm asking who is the first person you're born with. And usually after some back and forth and guided discovery, that's on the technical terms, guided discovery, helping clients to discover their own truth and answers are important to them. Clients eventually get, oh, myself, me. I say that's exactly right. The first relationship and the first person you're born with when you first come to this world as a gift is yourself. Now flash forward. Imagine yourself is lying in your deathbed. You're looking up at the ceiling with walls around you and hopefully surrounded by the families, your mentees, and the people they've impacted throughout your life. You're in your bed, looking at the ceiling, contemplating your final moments before your passing or before your death. And then I ask, who is the last person you're dying with? At this time, almost every client gets it. Oh, myself. That's exactly right. So by this logic, if the first person you're born with is yourself, and the last person you're dying with is also yourself, by this sequence of logic, who is the most important person in your life? They're like, oh, myself. That's exactly right. We are ourselves' most important relationships. And therefore, the most important, the most meaningful relationship is a relationship with ourselves. And I hope that that scene is foreshadowing of Violet's reconnection with the most important relationship in her life, not Major Gilbert's, not Hudgens, not her colleagues, although they're wonderful and it's a new community that accepted Violet in graciously, but rather herself. Oh, it's so peaceful.
誕生日おめでとう、アイリス。
What a cool outfit. Oh boy, is this some sort of a setup with this jolly, amazing, peaceful music? Is this a setup, some sort of a family drama that's coming?
ちょっといい？
Oh, matchmaking. It's about to start.
ほら覚えてる？モンゴ
All
メリさん
guys.
教員試験に合格したんです。
Look at the facial expression difference between mom and the person was invited. Oh, dude, what a handsome chap, dude.
アイリス、誕生日おめでとう。
Oh, she has a crush on him or she likes him? Is that why she disinvited him? Oh, she's blushing. She does like him. Violet went against her.
お母様に確認したところ、やはり出すようにとご指示いただきました。
Yo, Violet is so rigid, but true to her duties.
アイリス？
Oh. Oh, dude, Iris is so pissed that she got angry sad. Oh, damn. Dude, I knew that was a setup.
あんたが彼に招
I
待
didn't think it was so soon.
そのことと急に気分が悪くなったこととの因果関係は何でしょう？
私は出
Subtext.
さないでって言ったじゃない。
Oh, they had to uninvite all the
なんで余計
family
なことする
members.
のよ。
任務を遂行しただけです。
Also, I'm sure all of us can empathize and relate with Iris in this case. Because think about it. As I said earlier, she came to this village in such an excitement and this victorious stand because she thought she was needed and requested as an auto memory doll. The career she's been struggling, frankly, because she's been only writing voting letters, addresses, and not a single love letter or a true letter of emotional significance. As we've seen her complaints before, but and then she found out it was deception, a lie. The mother lured her back in for birthday party, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, birthday party! I almost forgot." And she was immediately touched, just to be blam, slammed by the true reality of it was a setup and a trap for attempt at arranged marriage. This isn't really therapy stuff, but I do want to highlight that historically, women have usually and almost always been prey and victims of arranged marriage, and they were used as political tools, especially royalty. If you are descendants of a royal blood and lineage, especially in Asia, Europe, almost everywhere ubiquitously around the world, because of paternalistic framework and patriarchy, if you are a daughter and princess of a royalty lineage, you are a tool, de facto tool for a political marriage to connect to another powerful lineage of royalty and a powerful noble family, like different lords. And you are literally a political tool through the avenue of marriage as young as like children. Like arranged marriage, even in some parts of India now, can go as young as age 13, 14, 15, and even younger in more historical time. So obviously, women's suffrage took a long time for it to happen, even in the United States. It took until like the 1950s and 60s and 70s for women to truly have some rights. And even until now in 2025, women are still prejudiced and sexist against in workforce and so many different settings. I've always been a mama's boy. I'm the older brother to my little sister, and I was raised by a single mother, as I shared in some other episodes. So I'm a true advocate for equal rights for men and women. Of course, no brainer. I love my mother, I love my sister, my grandmother, my wife, and so on. But I do want to make this tangibly fit into this episode specifically, where Iris's anger and frustration has 100% deserved and rightfully so. As I talked about the historical context, that women were used as political tools. In this case, I'm sure that's not the case, but her family still view her as a tool and symbolic representations of reproductions and having babies and coming back to family. Like, oh, cool. It's cool that you have a career as an auto memory doll. That was very rigorous. But who cares? Just come back. You're getting older. You're our only daughter, only child. Just get married and come back to us. It sounds innocent, but it's extremely imposing and invalidating and dehumanizing, and it devalues Iris's worth beyond her identity as a woman and a daughter. She is her independent self. And do you notice some parallels and symbolism here? That Iris's frustrations to being used as a tool, historically on a bigger macro landscape, women being suppressed and repressed as political tools for marriage. On a more individual level, what does that remind us of? Violet Evergarden. Violet was raised as a tool. Violet was raised and conditioned as a weapon. Only purpose bestowed upon her and instilled in her since however young she was a killing weapon to kill enemies. So Violet on an individual level is still struggling and trying to reconstruct. We don't know she's trying to reconstruct because she doesn't know what she doesn't know. But we know that she's in the process trying to go beyond her limited, false narrative and false identity as a tool, as a weapon, because war is over. And Violet, you were never a tool. You were a precious little girl. that were an orphan. You deserve much more than identity as a weapon and a killing machine. Because you are Violet Evergarden, you are complex and wholesome, way beyond any siloed identity. Just like Iris is much more than just any forced identity of a daughter as a reproduction machine, as someone only good is to come back to family, get married, and have kids. You are much more Iris, and so is Violet. And I think that's such a deep symbolism and representations of their similarities here, and what Iris represents and what Violet represents through this entire series. Again, I could be reading too much into this, but I really think that that's what this show and this episode is trying to represent. It is so deep. Am I completely off? Or are you guys with me?
理由を説明してくださらないと理解できません。
That's true. You have to be honest.
私彼に振られたの。
Oh.
振られたというのは言い寄ったけれど拒絶されたということですか。
Thanks for the deciphering, Violet.
好意を示したけれども相手の方に跳ねつけられた。
Oh, so it's out of embarrassment?
そうよ。あんたの言う通りよ。
Aww. Yeah, but rejections happen all the time. I guess it takes a lot more courage for Iris or for a female to approach a male. I get it.
バイオレットさん
But that's another, right, very patriarchal, paternalistic
泣い
framework.
ていらっしゃいます。
Aww. Oh, Violet is going to be the bridge for honesty because Iris can't be honest due to her hurt feelings. This is going to be crazy if Violet is the bridge and emotional translator between Iris and her family. Wow.
リス大丈夫？元気出して。
お母さんがあんなパーティー開くからよ。もう帰ってこなきゃよかった。
Damn, harsh words. Oh, now mother's feelings are hurt and families. Oh.
お食事です。
あんたみんなに喋って。
Words are very powerful.
何をですか。
エイモンのことよ。
喋りました。なんで言うのよ。秘密事項とは思いませんでしたし。皆様、アイリスさんのことを心配していらっしゃいましたので。
Good. They're well intentions.
あんたってほんと人の気持ちがわかんないのね。
Subtext again. This is another confrontation and a forced confrontation for Violet to recognize how inadequate her own understanding of human emotions are. She's like, what's the big deal? It wasn't a secret. I re-verified and confirmed with the service seeker, the mother, about her desire to invite Imanen, or the guy. But obviously Iris' feelings are hurt. She's like, I told you to not invite him. You betray my trust as a friend and a colleague. I don't know if they're considered friends yet, but definitely acquaintances and colleagues. So now Iris is even more upset because Violet went against what her request was. But can you blame Violet? Because Iris never fully explained her intention and the reasons why she wanted to disinvite this other guy. It wasn't until just now recently that she told her about her hurt feelings, her embarrassment and sadness for being rejected. Earlier on, I'm sure when they were younger, probably. But here, I think in this back and forth, we're seeing Violet's lack of understanding and her struggle with why is Iris so upset? It wasn't a secret. I was just performing my duties. But now I'm getting criticized, and now my colleague Iris, who obviously Violet cares about, is even more upset. And she's getting more and more upset. Now the volume is increasing. Iris is yelling. So in this back and forth, I think it's a beautiful depiction of Violet's lack of understanding and her, again, her emotional aloofness and disconnection. And Iris's animations, although she's angry, but that's the full range of human experience. All of her emotions have a place. Anger obviously isn't healthy, especially with anger, you say hurtful words. You say things that you will regret. Like what Iris just told her mother unintentionally, that I wish I never came back. So yes, anger is unhealthy emotion. But all of our emotions has a place and serves a purpose. Otherwise, why do we have all these emotions? If we are always happy, do you know what leads? If we are always happy, you know what happens? We become manic. Hypomania and mania is the definition, and they have tremendous psychological and physiological toll and can often lead to hospitalization and could cause psychosis. What happens if you're always sad? Depressions, anxiety, health problems. That's why we have the ebbs and flow and the seasonalities of life. How do we know this is true? Let's look at universally. What happens if the world or the landscape is always sunny? Drought, like California. Desert. The death of life and planetary. The death of life and planets. The death of life and plants. What happens if it's always raining? Floods. Seasonal depression. So why is there 4 seasons? Because universe has already dictated, in my case, God created this natural world to be perfectly balanced. That's why there's summer, spring, autumn, and winter. Because it is the seasonality of life that sustains the life and all the forces there is. And similarly, even with us humans, we have to respect and honor and confront all of our emotions, no matter how much we want to avoid them or otherwise. And that's why here we're seeing this volcanic eruption, because I'm sure Iris had a lot of her emotions suppressed to this point as well. Beautiful demonstration.
わけありません。少しは理解できるようになったと思っていたのですが、
Aww.
人の気持ちはとても複雑。
Okay, so see, Violet's recognition and acknowledgement of the complexities of emotional expression.
嘘をつく場合もあり、正確に把握するのは私には
Aww.
とても困難なのです。
See, Violet truly,
本当に
she feels sorry, and you see that in her facial expression. She's being vulnerable, and that's going to melt Iris.
あんたに悪気がないのは分かってる。私だっていつもちゃんと人の気持ちが分かっているわけじゃないもの。
そうなのですか。
I'm just removing my boogers in my eyes, okay?
エイモンは
Do we see the power of honest communication?
いつも優しくて
Honesty heals.
ずっと好きで、
Oh, childhood best friends?
私のこと好きって思い込んでたの。
Oh, that's
だ
tough.
から
Dude, handsome chap, dude. Good looking guy.
愛してるって。
Whoa. Violet's like, whoa. Major Gilbert told me that too.
ごめん。幼馴染としか思えない。
Oh, yeah, that hurts. Damn. That hurts. Yeah, that hurts a lot.
消えたくなっちゃった。ここにいたくなくなった。
That's why Iris left?
ライデンの街に出てドールになったわけよ。
Oh, I just got goosebumps. That's why Iris left.
してるはとても勇気のいる言葉なのですね。
Oh, Violet is learning.
受け入れられないとそこにいたくなくなるくらいに。
Wow. For Major Gilbert.
そうだったのでしょうか。
Her eyes are sparkling, which means she's processing and learning emotions.
私は
Wow.
詳細になったのです。
Violet is
わからない
opening
と
up
思ってい
too.
たバイオレットのことが少し
Honesty is the best method. Honesty is the only way to deepening our relationships.
この子はそれが何かを一生懸命
Aww.
この子なりに。
Oh, so beautiful. Wow.
ねえ、自動式人形さん、手紙書いてくれる？
どのような手紙ですか？
パーティーに出席してくれた人たちへのお詫びの手紙。
Oh, she's going to be more honest this time around.
ねえで心のこもった手紙にしてよ。
エーモンさんにも出しますか？
まあでも出して。
それからご両親にもアイリスさんの本当のお気持ちをお伝えしてはいかがでしょうか？
Wow, Violet, you've come such a long way. Oh, I feel like a proud father right now.
伝えられるのです。素直に言えない心の内も伝えられるのです。
Wow. Oh yeah, I could see definitely going to be a happy ending. I foresee reconciliation between parents and
お父さん、
Iris.
お母さん、私からお詫びの手紙を出します。それから、
Oh yeah, she felt useful and needed, which is very important.
仕事は大変なこともあるけれど、自分で決めたことだから頑張ってみる。
That's awesome.
小さい頃から
Oh yeah, Iris has been feeling down because she doesn't really get requested and she's always doing heavy admin work.
私を見守っていてください。
She's being vulnerable and open and honest.
未来のライデン一の人気ドールから大好きなお父さんとお母さんに
Nice. Self-deprecating humor, calling back. It's amazing. Bro, you don't learn your lesson? Come on. But she's gonna smile.
忘れ物はない。
See? She's like, I don't care. What an amazing trip.
それから手紙ありがとう。
いや、タイプしたのはこの子だけ。
Aw, she's feeling shy and embarrassed.
後で請求書をお渡しします。
お金取るの？
代筆は仕事です。
じゃあ昼食3日分で。
規定の金額に足りません。
そこは社内割引で。
That symbolizes closeness between Violet and Iris. That clap back and forth. That requires closeness in relationship. Oh, beautiful flower.
誕生日おめでとう。
Aww.
元気。
伝えられたでしょうか。
Yes, it did. And more.
二人の反応を見たらわかるでしょ。
Violet actually can't though. Yeah, she actually can't. She needs explicit verbal confirmation because Violet doesn't know how to read emotions or body language. Remember, the 70% of communication Violet doesn't get yet, but she will.
書きました。
She did.
片言なのよ。
She's shocked. Irises, like her name. Wow. Is that what she was named after? Oh, so beautiful.
私ね、
And the music in this show is such a oh, so good.
生まれたの。だからお父さん
Beautiful. Just like how blue her eyes are Violet's eyes.
じゃあ私が名前をつけていいか。
Did Gilbert give her a name Violet based on her favorite flower? Or butterfly? I
For sure.
knew it! It's the violet, the flower from the beginning of the introduction. It's the violet flower from the opening scene.
バイオレット。君はきっとその名前にふさわしい女性になる。君は道具ではなく、その名が似合う人になる。
Oh.
あなたの子
Holy.
Macaroni.
I mean, I'm still processing that violet, the flower, right? The violet flower scene from the beginning of the episode and towards the end. That's a complete full circle. Birth and rebirth. Absolutely a master stroke by the writers of this show. But another thing that just hit me, my brain's going like crazy, is Major Gilbert's, not parting, but Major Gilbert's wish for Violet when he gifted her with that name, because she was nameless. She had no identity. She went from a tool without a name. Why? Because you don't really name your weapons. Weapons are weapons. Tools are tools. I'm sure some people do, but most people don't. So Violet, or this nameless tool that's used as a weapon gifted by Gilbert's brother, was nameless. In other words, emotionless and identityless and formless. She did not exist in the human world. But through this act of gift giving, or by this act of name giving, which is a blessing and a gift to Violet, Gilbert wished her, I hope you can eventually grow into that name and much more. And do not be a tool. That is so deep because our names represent our identities. According to this research, everyone's favorite word in this world is, guess what? It's our names. That's why names matter. That's why US presidents, they all practice memorizing as many names of their constituents, the people that supported them to their office. That's why politicians are really good at remembering names, because they know that by misremembering other people's names, that's a huge deduction in their points. So a lot of politicians make their first duty, pun intended, to remember as many names as possible, because that's political leverage. But making it practical to us, our names are so much more than our names. It encompasses everything there is. My full name is Benoit Kim. Why? Because Benoit is French. It's my baptism name because I was born into a Catholic family. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore. I'm just a Christian because I don't like the politics, and religion is organized practice, and religion is flawed because humans are sinful. So I'm just a follower of Christ, and I try to be the best and the most generous and compassionate person I possibly can be. So I'm just a Christian. But nevertheless, Benoit is French for Saint Benedict. It means the blessed one. And my Kim last name is obviously my Korean heritage of Kim, which is one of the 3 most common last names, like Kim, Park, and Lee, generally speaking. And my name is French because I was born in Paris. I lived in Paris, France for 7 years, and then I moved to Shanghai, China for 7 years, and then I lived in Korea for a year, and I came to the United States for boarding high school, and I've been here for a long, long time since, and that's why I'm an American citizen. So my name on the surface, you're like, oh, that's an interesting name, just letters. But it represents my entire upbringing, my journey, who I am. And now you guys are knowing me as Psychotherapist Reacts channel. And that's what I'm trying to say. Gilbert's deep longing and wish for Violet to blossom, pun intended, like a flower of violets, blossom into something much more than a tool and a weapon. And now she has become Violet Evergarden. Violet not only got her first name, but also her last name because of Whoa! Major Gilberts gave her her first name of Violet, and through the Foster family, with Gilbert's dying wish after he died in the battle, also gifted her the last name, Evergarden. Whoa! That's crazy. But to close on my rants and my podium moment, our name is much more, and it is the essence of who we are. And I think the way this episode 4 is ending is foreshadowing how Violet is on her process and her journey to go beyond her identity as a tool, but instead this wholesome, unique, beautiful being of Violet Evergarden. Damn, this episode's fire. Anyway, if you found my analysis and reaction helpful, please smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to catch the next series, and share this never seen insight with your favorite people. Bless them with how this episode blessed you. And also, exciting news. Due to popular request, we will be creating a Patreon page with unedited footages, early access, and other awesome perks. We're still brainstorming for anyone that would like to support my work with my editor. And when we hit 15K for YouTube subscribers count, we will be publishing and opening our access to Patreon page. Anyway, until then, till next time, peace.